Cobb Vanth Refrigeration. The Mandalorian Season 2 is finally here. Of course, I want to dive right into the new episode. We got something really juicy there at the end, didn't we? But just for the purpose of a little table setting, here's how I felt about Season 1, so you know where I'm coming from. I liked it. Didn't love it as much as some people did, but generally I thought it was a lot of fun. Fun enough to have a poster on my otherwise asylum white bedroom walls. More than anything though, I would say I was excited about its potential. I do think the first season took a couple episodes to get going. Episode 3 was the one that really sold me. I was kind of touch and go before that. And I thought there were a couple missteps along the way, but the structure of the series, in that it's so episodic, made that almost a non-issue. If I wasn't crazy about the Tatooine episode, the first Tatooine episode, I wasn't worried about the next one. Each week I came in totally fresh, with almost no expectations, because I knew it would practically be a brand new story. And the season finished so strongly, with a solid climax to the serialized part of the story, bringing back all the characters, and really feeling like the ending of something, even if it was clear there was a lot more story they wanted to tell. And so here we are. Chapter 9, subtitled The Marshal, clocks in at a wonderful 54 minutes. It's the longest episode of the show so far, even though a good 8 or 9 minutes of that is the Season 1 recap and the end credits. But what am I doing? It's Boba Fett! We all sort of knew this was coming, from some leaks about Tamara Morrison being involved. And once the armor showed up, that was pretty much a dead giveaway for me. Although I did like the misdirect at the start of the story. And honestly, I'm the type of fan, maybe I'm in the minority, you'll let me know, but going into the episode, I was kind of hoping just for something like this. In my heart, I would have said let Boba Fett stay dead, and let the armor be scavenged and sold and traded around the galaxy. I think that's cool, and more of what Star Wars has meant to me personally, but after seeing the episode, I'm so on board. I'm excited as hell to figure out what's up with Boba Fett. I have absolutely no idea how he's going to tie into this story, but it's sure to be a fun ride. Assuming that is Boba Fett anyway. It could very well be a clone, right? But no, it's gotta be Boba. I have to admit, I was also worried when I realized we were going back to Tatooine. I wasn't crazy about it last time, in large part because I'm deathly allergic to callbacks. And Tatooine is kinda callback central. Luckily though, that was largely the extent of it this time. We got to visit a brand new Moss, and meet a new cast of creatures and characters, including a whole bunch of Tusken Raiders. It's pretty hilarious to hear like extended scenes of dialogue between them as they try to convey complex concepts with those insane guttural noises. Their voices in the original movie were mostly made from pack mule sounds. Did you know that? But I think spending more time with them is a fun concept. I also like the choice to feature a crate dragon as the main obstacle, since we've never seen one alive in live action to this point. I just wish they had made it sound like the audio that they changed in the Blu-ray of A New Hope. Individual episodes of The Mandalorian don't usually attempt nuanced, complicated stories. They just introduce a very clear and easy to understand challenge, and then coast on an audience's understanding of a familiar sort of genre. And I really like how biblical this one felt. Do you know what I mean? It's a very old kind of story. Rounding up soldiers to kill the big monster that threatens the town, and there's a vague love thy neighbor message that's briefly touched on too. It's not trying to do too much, but it's using a lot of tropes and images that we're already familiar with. And that's really one of the smartest things about the way this show is constructed. The Mandalorian and his overarching goal are so incredibly simple, but they're also really well defined, so they're able to work in a multitude of different situations, basically whatever the series wants to be that week. It's frankly brilliant the way the entire show can morph around these different scenarios. For example, the cold open of this episode is like a grungy 80s street action movie, and then like 5 minutes later he's in a full-on western standoff in a saloon. Watch these scenes again and pay attention to the way everything about them is completely different. The direction, production design, especially the score. How do both of these scenes work in the same episode? It's almost like a magic trick, but it's one that Favreau and company can kind of keep getting away with for as long as the show runs. I'll always give them the benefit of the doubt, and I do really think that comes down to that simplicity. We know who Mando is, so it's just a matter of putting him on a different planet, and he'll take on the corresponding stoic, badass role that kind of story calls for. A couple more of my general thoughts about the episode. It's a little disappointing that we don't get to see any of our regular supporting cast members. I still find it a little strange that they're even considered regular cast members when they've been in like 3 episodes of the whole show? But whatever, I know they're coming soon. And we get a couple of guest stars, with John Leguizamo coming to hang out, Amy Sedaris reprising her charming character from season 1, and of course Timothy Olyphant. I love seeing the galaxy's reaction to the destruction of the Death Star, the second one. The direct aftermath of Return of the Jedi and how it impacted the regular folks of the galaxy is something I hope they'll explore more as the series goes on. That whole political vacuum scenario is something that I'm endlessly fascinated by. Oh, and this one's lame, but I got super excited when the aspect ratio changed at the end. And then what an absolute baller move to put it back in a continuous shot here. I can't imagine this was shot on an actual IMAX camera or anything, right? But it was still a fun choice. You know what's a little weird though? Let me know if you guys had this problem too. I couldn't help but be a little distracted trying to figure out where the virtual soundstage started in every scene. In retrospect, it was maybe a strange choice for ILM to give away all their tricks in the Disney Gallery series after only the first season of the show. I would have preferred not to know exactly how these kinds of shots were done, you know, but I was eventually able to shut that part of my brain off and enjoy the content of the episode, so it's not a super big deal. This was the first episode directed by Jon Favreau himself, and for a season premiere, I thought it was really solid. It seems that the vague, overarching storyline for the season is going to be Mando's search for more of his own kind, which is, again, simple enough to be kind of evergreen. I'm really excited to see how the rest of the characters, especially Boba Fett, are going to fit into that. And we still have Ahsoka coming up, right? Join me next week for a discussion of Chapter 10. Bye.